Hello everyone, Tutu Mora here with The Why, bringing you tools to feel well in your body, mind, and spirit. So today we are going to be focusing on the knee joints, and whether it's clicking or cracking or a little swelling or pain in that joint, it's so important to stretch and strengthen the muscles around the knee in order to protect it. So, in whatever way you're experiencing that discomfort, I recommend that you work with this video while listening to your own body. So if you feel you need to check with your doctor prior to using this video, definitely do that. If you want to try it out and just listen and work with the movements that feel right and accessible for you today, I would invite you to do that. So what you're going to need in order to work with these supportive stretches and exercises is a yoga block. Now, if you don't have one, you can definitely just use a firm pillow, as well as a TheraBand. Now, if you don't have a TheraBand, you can use an extra pair of yoga pants. And so my TheraBand is, it doesn't have any loops. It is this color, but you can play around with the tension as we go. So the color doesn't necessarily matter today. So I would invite you first to come onto your mat. We're going to start with your knees bent. We're going to be on all fours here. And so what I want you to think about is your knees directly beneath your hips, wrists beneath your shoulders here. And so while you're here, once you have your knees hip distance apart, we're going to come up onto the knees, okay? And so from here, we're going to step one foot out, almost like you're in sort of a proposal pose here. Now, things to think about: you want your hips square facing the wall in front of you, so you don't want to have one hip hiked up. You want to have them both kind of equally long through the torso and hips straight out in front of you. Now, your leg that's resting down on the mat here, I want you to feel like you're gently pressing into the mat through your ankle and your shin. So while you're here, we're gonna just take a little lunge forward. So reaching with the pelvis forward. You're gonna feel a little stretch through the quad and the hip flexor there on this side. And if you find that your knee here comes above your toe line, step out that stance a little bit wider and taking it back. Now, if you feel like you need a little supportive padding underneath your supportive knee, definitely take that for yourself as well. So remember that little pressure down on your stabilizing leg, and we'll take that forward, reaching through the pelvis, again, keeping those hips stacked. You'll feel that little stretch. And taking it back. We're gonna do one more here, but this time we're gonna bring that arm up. We're gonna find a little reach through the back of the armpit. We're gonna reach up and then take that lunge. And then taking it back. So let's do that same thing on the other side here, switching sides. So let's take a second, find that hip distance apart for your knees, and then we're gonna take that stance out. So now on this stabilizing side, making sure you've got that little pressure of the shin and the ankle into the mat, hips square facing the wall in front of you. And let's start to lead with the pelvis into that lunge, really feeling that stretch through the hip flexor, through the quad. And taking it back. And again. Again, if you find that your knee is going over your toes through the side, widen that stance. If you find that you're hiking up your hip on one side, making sure to adjust your posture along the way, because tightness can really impact the way we're able to move. And so finding your range and making sure that you stay within it in order to make the most of this movement. Taking it back. Last one here, we're gonna raise that arm up, find that reach up through the back of the armpit before taking that forward last time into that lunge. and taking it back. All right, so next thing that we're gonna do here, I'm gonna have you lie down onto your back. We're gonna take the TheraBand here and have your yoga block handy. So we'll keep that by our side. I'm gonna tilt the screen down so you can better see me on the mat here. Lying down, one leg is gonna be bent. Other leg, the strap is gonna go across the foot here. All right? So what we're gonna do first, I'm gonna have you bring that leg up to the height that feels comfortable, really aiming for a stretch through the hamstrings here. So if you find that you need to bend the knee a little bit, let's just take that lower. So wherever you're able to maintain a relatively straight leg. And what we're gonna do to start is just point and flex. Pointing and flexing. So whatever height you're at there, let's find that supportive stretch here, making sure that you've got kind of a wide grip across the heel of the, or excuse me, across the arch of the foot with that band so it doesn't come snapping back at you. So a little point and flex, we'll take a little bit of ankle circles here. Nice and slow so you can really feel into all those little stretches. And reversing those little ankle circles. And so while you're here, we're gonna gently take that leg, little flex of the foot here, and we're gonna take that across the body, feeling that stretch down the outside of the leg here. Holding that for a few deep breaths. And back to center, and we'll do that one more time. And you can release that leg from the strap. We'll take that to the other side. So find that band across the arch of the foot here. And finding the space where you're able to maintain a relatively straight leg. Now it's okay if it's a little tighter on one side than the other. So find what range works for you on this side. We're gonna start to just gently point and flex. Really keeping the toes relatively soft because we want that movement to come from the ankle joint or the Achilles heel. And careful with that band so it doesn't snap around. But just continuing that point and flex, really letting that leg bone start to sink a little bit heavier into the hip socket. And then we'll take that into little ankle circles, nice and slow so you can feel all those little stretches. And reverse. And so from here, little flex of that foot, and let's start to take this just across the body, feeling that stretch down the outside of the leg, breathing into this stretch. Let's take that back to center, and we'll take that one more time across the body. Back to center. Let's release that leg from the strap. Set it nearby. We can come back to it in a moment. We're going to grab that yoga block or your firm pillow. And we're going to put it between the knees. We want to keep the knees about hip distance apart here. So I find that this edge works best for that. This is just a little bit wide. So finding that sort of long edge. And now we're going to find a little squeeze into the block, but instead of just squeezing with your knees, I want you to kind of take a deep breath into your sit bones here and widen that space. And allow that squeeze to come from almost a widening and wrapping of that, that sensation of widening and wrapping, allowing that inner line of the leg to kind of come on here as a result. And so find a gentle squeeze into that block as you keep those sit bones nice and wide. And let's take some deep breaths into the low back while we have this little squeeze. And release that squeeze, and let's take that 2 more times. Releasing, and last time. Holding that squeeze for 2 deep breaths. Releasing that squeeze. You can let go of the block and we'll come back to the band. You're gonna wrap that band around the outside of your thighs here. And so I'm just doing a little bit of a double wrap for strength here and tucking the ends in. And so while you're here, again, feet about hip distance apart, we're gonna take an outside squeeze against the band. So again, widening through those sit bones, keeping yourself from arching the back as you place that gentle outward squeeze into the band. And 2 deep breaths into the low back, really widening through those sit bones. Allowing those glutes to turn on and help you, because that glute strength, that quad strength, that hamstring strength, all of that is really going to help keep the load off of your knees. And release. Let's find that a couple more times. So outward squeeze, holding for 2 deep breaths. Last one. And release. So you can take yourself out of that thera band here. And then last thing that we're gonna do is straightening out one leg, really reaching through that heel here. So you feel that stretch through the calf, you feel it through the hamstring. You're gonna bring that opposite knee in towards you, just gently hugging it towards you. And then bring that knee across towards that opposite shoulder. Only as far as feels good. And then bringing it back, resting it down gently. And then we'll take that same thing to the other side. So finding that reach through the heel as you bring in that opposite knee in towards you. Avoiding crunching on one side of the torso. So keep both sides of that torso nice and long. And then opposite shoulder, just gently bring in that knee towards it. Only as far as feels comfortable. And bringing that back. And then you can go ahead and sit up here. So once again, I would invite you to try this sequence with some consistency. So if you've been noticing that clicking, if you've been experiencing that knee discomfort, important to stretch and strengthen those muscles surrounding the knee in a consistent manner. So work with this video. I hope you find it helpful, and I'll see you back here next time on the Wise YouTube channel. Take care.